Hello viewers and learners of the Postgraduate Diploma in Environmental and Occupational Health. Welcome to this session on environmental labeling. This forms a part of the course MEV 003, that is Environmental Law and Management. I introduce myself as Dr. Sushmitha Baskar, working in the School of Interdisciplinary and Transdisciplinary Studies, Indira Gandhi National Open University. So all of us are used to purchasing certain brands, certain products, and we can't do away with many of the products in our daily life. For example, we may be using a certain kind of a fabric. For example, some of you may be fond of cotton, some of you may be fond of silk. In the same way, certain products or the technological things, like for example the air conditioners or the refrigerators and so on. So have you ever wondered whether these have some kind of an energy efficiency star or a label on them? Okay, sometimes in refrigerators or in the air conditioners you might have seen that they have a 5-star rating or they have a 2-star rating. So have you ever wondered why this is important? The amount of energy that is consumed in the process, that is important, and so on. And in the same way, when we purchase certain fabrics, so all this leads to certain eco-friendly choices that we make, environmental friendly and environmental conscious choices that we make in daily life. So this lecture will be dealing upon these things and the logos and the eco mark that several countries, including the international area and also those that are being used in our country. So we will focus on these topics. After watching this video, you will be able to define eco-labeling, describe the classification of eco-labels, explain the principles for eco-labeling and discuss the eco-mark scheme of India. Giving an introduction to the same. Now we are seeing that there is an increasing population explosion, there is a boom and the number of population is rising day by day. Especially when we compare the urban and the rural areas, there is this urban sprawl and a lot of people are migrating to the urban areas and to the cities for better employment opportunities, for better education, for better health facilities and so on. So therefore, this population, now just if we take only this rural and the urban, when we talk about the countries, for example the Asian countries, so this is putting a tremendous pressure on the natural resources. Because there are more people, then we need more food to be provided to the people. We need more of the natural resources which will be depleted, more of water consumption, more of the energy consumption. Therefore, industrial development is also one reason for the environmental issues, the environmental problems, for example pollution and so on. And all these are related to the environmental problems and environmental issues, whether it is population, whether it is pollution and so on. So these are some aspects where we see that man and the environment are directly linked to each other. Now when we talk again more about the environmental issues, there are some more important ones which include the climate change, the global warming, ozone layer depletion, then acid rain when the rainwater becomes acidic and this falls down as carbonic acid or sulfuric acid, and all this is as a result of the anthropogenic inputs and the human activities which is causing the rainwater to go more acidic. Then there is loss of biodiversity, then there is deforestation, there is depletion of natural resources at an unprecedented rate. And all this received international attention in the Stockholm Conference which was held in 1972. And our former late Prime Minister, late Mrs. Indira Gandhi, she represented our country in this conference in 72, and after which India formulated its environmental act and the rules which came into force. So therefore from this introduction we get to know that environment and health is directly linked to each other, and therefore we should always opt for the production of goods using certain eco-friendly techniques, and therefore that will cause less environmental issues, because all this which we discussed over here, it is increasing as a result of the human activities. So if we can use certain techniques, certain technologies for the eco-friendly ways, then we could have less of these environmental problems. By adopting this strategy, we can also save the resources for the future generation, and we will also be marching towards achieving our goal for sustainable development. Now we come on to the topic environmental labeling. This is a voluntary program of the environmental labeling certification of any product in context to its environmental impact from origin to the end as its waste. So, for example, there is a label or a tag, it could be in one of your dresses or in any of the technological things that you buy. So, in that tag, it would be written that where the country of the origin of that product and what is being used in that product. Is it bamboo based or is it coming from something else? And also from the time it is going to end up in the waste pile, whether it is non-biodegradable, whether it is biodegradable. So, these are the act which go into the environmental labeling certification. And these labels can play a very important role in the conservation of natural resources and in the sensitization of public about the importance of natural resources. Now, the environmental labels are a group of labels based upon the environmental performance of a product. So, this product, it can have positive, negative or neutral impacts on the environment. Eco labels, these are a subgroup and they respond to several special criteria. The environmental preferences of a product or a service within a product, and that can be identified by a specific eco label. So, this eco label, it is a tag and it represents the possible environmental impacts of a product or the service during the course of manufacturing and use. So, these labels are generally voluntary, but sometimes it may be mandatory in certain cases. According to the Environmental Protection Agency, the three most important components of environmental labeling, they include an unbiased third party involvement during the certification of any product. Then there is a voluntary and mandatory participation by financial enterprises, firms, and the labeling can be positive or negative. And if the product has a positive environmental impact, then this product will be promoted. If the product has a negative environmental impact, then some warnings will be issued. The International Standards Organization, this is an autonomous body and it views the different goals to be achieved for the effective implementation of these labels. Some of the standards developed by the International Standard Organization is listed here. So, in this table, if you see the nomenclature of the standard, for example, ISO 14020, so this is dealing with the labeling standards, product marks and the meaning of the marks. Now, ISO 14021, this is used for providing the guidelines for the environmental green claims. Then 14022, this is dealing with the standardization of the environmental labels. The next set is 14040 and 14044. This is dealing with the guidelines for the life cycle assessment consideration. Then the ISO 14000, the entire group that involves the environmental management in the industries. So, these standards have been developed by the International Standard Organization and the ISO, and that plays a very important role in the eco labeling. Therefore, the different environmental labels themselves, these may not change the customer's attitude towards these products. But campaigns, if we do certain integrated campaigns, it could be through education, awareness and certain incentives, then that could maybe that would be effective in changing the consumers' attitudes and behavior. More conscious clients, they tend to take into account the environmental labels along with environmental safety and the brand value while making their purchasing decisions. So, therefore, awareness among the customers about these environmental labels, that forms a very important subject. Now, this is the table which is showing the steps that is involved in labeling and in the certification process. So, the first phase, this includes the preparation and the launching phase. The first step includes the assignment of the responsibilities, that is who is responsible for defining the criteria, for certifying these products and administering the entire program. Then there is a selection and determination of the product categories. So, once this is done, we will gather the proposal for the certification criteria and the categories. For example, it could be from the industry, from the science and trade areas, then from the consumers, from the environmental and other public organization. That is a stakeholders process. Then we have the negotiation phase. This includes the development of the criteria, the standards or the guidelines. So once the product categories are selected, the next step is the establishment of the requirements that an applicant must meet in order to be approved by the eco-labeling program. For example, if there is an eco-labeling program is developed to overcome the trade barrier, then the country's labeling requirement, this should also be consistent with the labeling countries in the other countries. So when we grant the criteria for an eco-label to a product or a service, the number of the products that will qualify for the label also should be taken into account. And the group that is responsible for setting this criteria, they may include the scientific and the technical experts from both the government organization and also the private sectors. Then the feedback and the comments from the interested stakeholders, that should also be taken into account before we finalize the list of the criteria. And again, this should also be periodically reassessed. Then it is the implementation phase. This involves the certification and the licensing. So the producers, then the service providers, the suppliers, the retailers, distributors, the importers, they will all apply for the certification. So the awarding process will include testing of maybe one of the products, compliance verification, the applicant's licensing and also monitoring. Again, this will also be reassessed once in 2 to 5 years. Then after this, the applicants will have to pay some application fee and the cost for the verification and an annual fee also for the use of the eco-label, and these fees, it depends on the annual product turnover. So this is always, there is the challenge of the consumers getting confused sometimes because of ambiguity of the information. So for example, you would have seen, in some of the labels it would be written 100% biodegradable, 100% pure organic, 100% it is recyclable and so on. So whether these are false claims or whether they are actually true, so the labels should actually give only the proper existing information. Therefore, it is very important to standardize the existing label procedures. The international standardization organizations, they give certain labeling standards in order to achieve these goals. Now, how do we understand the concept of this eco-labeling? Generally, we are assigning an eco-label to any product, and that indicates that the product is more environmentally safe as compared to other products in the same category. For example, you may have a soap which is having the eco-label and another soap which is not having the eco-label. Now, what kind of choices do we make? So, we get confused when you are in the supermarket. So, the life cycle assessment or LCA, this is an important tool which is used to evaluate the positive and the negative environmental impacts of a particular product. It is done by analyzing the various processes throughout the manufacturing of a product. That is the raw material used. What type of material is used in the manufacturing? For example, is nylon being used? Is polyester being used? When we talk about nylon and polyester, okay, they are not biodegradable and they remain in the environment for long periods of time. Again, they can also cause certain other health issues when they remain for so long in the environments. And but if you use cotton, or if you use the paper bags, even the bags also play an important role. For example, the plastic bags are now phased out. So now we are using the cotton or the jute bags, and you can also use the bags which are made of the coir, the coconut coir material. So the raw material that is used, that also has to be taken into account. The energy consumption, then the manufacturing process itself, what kind of processes, how many type of chemical dyes are used in textile manufacturing, and other important factors related to the product. Now nowadays you would have seen, when you get the cloth, they have the natural dyes, even in the tanning industries. For example, leather, if you see that they write that it is being, that the tanning agent that is being used comes from the natural bark of certain trees, which is providing that the hinge to or the color to the leather. It is imparting that color to the leather. But when you use certain dyes, then that is causing harm both to the environment and also for our human health. So all these have to be analyzed, and in the labels all these things should be given very clearly. the objectives of the eco-labeling. So this is not a very old concept, but as I said, it did emerge after the 1992 Rio conference. The different objectives of the eco-labeling are efficient use of the non-renewable resources, managing the renewable resources wisely, proper handling and management of the chemicals to minimize the detrimental impacts, the 3 R's, that is reduce, reuse and recycle. This has to be taken into account. We need to promote the natural resource conservation, and we also need to promote the biodiversity. It motivates the manufacturer to invent and develop more and more eco-friendly products and the services. These practices, they will encourage the idea of green businesses with minimal environmental impacts, and then that creates a new brand image, a new market for the nature lovers, and that growing market based upon natural resource products that will be produced sustainably. So nowadays we are finding that even the cosmetic industry, certain lipsticks, or you have the makeup products, or you have the hair shampoos or the conditioners, and even some types of other cosmetic agents. So they are all promoting the nature based solutions which have natural elements, natural ingredients which are there in their products. So then this also, the customers would like to buy certain things, some of them who are really the nature lovers and who are really environment conscious and also conscious about their own health. Because on a long term, if you are going to apply certain cosmetics or certain lipsticks every day, in daily life, then definitely that will have certain negative impacts on your health. So here again we can make certain proper choices. Sensitizing the consumer about the environment related issues. So the labels themselves should create awareness among the consumers. Therefore, awarding an eco label to any product, this should actually sensitize the customers, and people will prefer to buy the product with the eco label due to these environmental concerns. Classification of certain eco labels. There are different types of eco labels for different kinds of the product, but the International Standards Organization, they have developed 3 types of environmental labels and have specified the preferential principles and procedures for each one of them. The type 1, which is 14024 ISO, it is voluntary and it is a third party program of certification of a product. There is multiple criteria basis and life cycle assessment of the product. The certificate is awarded by the third party to a manufacturer by authorizing him to use this environmental label with environmental preferability within a particular product category, which is known as environmental labeling. ISO 14021 type 2. Now these types of claims, they are first party, voluntary and self declared by certification of a manufacturer, importer or distributor for a certain product, and this is known as self declaration claims or green claims. This is a first party certification. Then we have ISO 14025 type 3. It is a voluntary and third party program of certification of a product. The environmental parameters are assessed by a third party and they are reported for the products. This report, it is re-verified again by a competent and qualified third party, and it is known as environmental declaration. This is given by the third party certification. Origins of eco labeling. So we are all now quite conscious about the environmental days. For example, we are spreading awareness of the environmental issues. Now even when the particulate matter and the smog level is high in the atmosphere, then people are preferring to stay indoors and work from home. So this way, the awareness is being spread through the media, through your newspapers, through journals, magazines and so on. We are also celebrating the World Environment Day, the World Water Day, Meteorological Day, the World Forest Day, Earth Day and the Ozone Day and Ozone Week. And all these are conducted right from the school to the industrial sectors. For example, even in the car manufacturing industries, in any of the industries, there is an environmental department which is conducting these awareness programs week long, so that people can be educated. They invite experts from the different scientific areas, from different educational institutions, and they are able to deliberate upon these issues. The growing concern about environmental protection, this has led to the origin of eco labeling. In the late 1970s, most of the developed nations, they initiated the process of eco-labeling for certain products. And in this, if we see, Germany was the first country in the world that initiated and implemented the concept of eco-labeling in 1977, and the Blue Angel was the name of the first eco-label. After this successful launch of this eco-label, various other countries like the US, the Sweden, Spain, Singapore, Norway, New Zealand, Korea, Japan, India, France, Austria, Canada and so on has started their eco-labeling programs. Moreover, at the global level, eco-labeling scheme is coordinated by the global network of countries, and India is also the member of the same. So these are the environmental or the eco-labeling schemes that are launched by various countries. So you see, in the case of Germany, it was the Blue Angel which came in 1977. In India, we have the Eco Mark which came up in 1991. Then in the same way, European Union, they had European Flower which came up in 1992 and so on. So all these countries, in US they have the Green Seal, then in Sweden you have Good Environmental Choice, in New Zealand it is Environmental Choice, then in Singapore there is Green Label, then in the Netherlands they have another label, in Croatia they have Environmentally Friendly, which all this came up in the 1990s in most of the places, but Germany was the first to come up with their eco label. Now these are the energy efficiency labeling. As I told you, maybe in the air conditioners, in any of the press or the iron that you use, or in the air conditioners, you could have even in the water geysers, that is the water heaters, you could have these labels. So whether it is having a 3-star or a 5-star. So these are the Bureau of Energy Efficiency star labels for the energy efficiency of different appliances. It may be voluntary as well as mandatory. Then there is a certification body for sustainable development. This can certify organically grown agricultural products and to promote the organic logo internationally as well as at the national levels. Then there is a Forest Stewardship Council, and this is a chain of custody certification to promote the forest management worldwide networks and those products that are derived from the well managed forest, and they allow the manufacturer to promote these products. Then we have Good Weave International, you can see their logo. This was formerly known as the Rug Mark, and they work for the abolition of child labor and protecting the rights of the adult workers of handmade rug industry, the providing education to the children of South Asia. Then there is this Green Globe certification. This promotes sustainable tourism that make the people aware of the tourist industry for saving water, energy to improve the environment. Then there is organic certification, that is, it will certify the organically safe produce. This is specifically for the agricultural products as per the international standards and also to promote the export of such proper products. Then you have the UPS carbon neutral. This promotes in the reduction of the greenhouse gases by carbon neutral shipping program in India through purchasing carbon credits. The Green Signal. This was developed by IIM Ahmedabad for the certification of environmental preferences of a product and service. EcoTel certification. This is awarded to environmentally aware and sensitive hotel industries. Fair trade. This works for empowering the marginal landholding farmers and the farm workers of the poor nations of Asia. Then there is the Better Cotton Initiative. This works on reducing the environmental impacts through organic cotton production and improving the social and economic conditions of the cotton growing farmers throughout the world. Then there is the Global Organic Textile Standards GOTS. This works on the standardization and certification of organic fiber production, promotion of natural fibers, and the promotion and certification of eco-textile processing techniques. Now some of the business enterprises, they make claims which have these slogans and the logos as 100% natural, totally biodegradable, eco-friendly, energy efficient and so on. Now the products and the services with such labels, they are of course very eco-friendly, and they are attracting a large number of the customers. But without guiding standards and analysis by an autonomous third party, the consumers may not be convinced that the company's assertions assured that each labeled product was an environmentally preferable substitute. So therefore there are some guiding principles for eco-labeling. The combined efforts of the government, the industry and the non-governmental organization, they are equally important for the development of an eco-label to achieve a specific set of objectives. So these are some of the guiding principles. Voluntary participation to an eco-labeling program by the manufacturers, importers, service providers and other financial enterprises. Compliance to the environmental and other relevant legislation. Along with the legislative compliance, the quality and performance of the product also is to be addressed before awarding an eco-label to a product is done. Based on sound scientific and engineering principles, before we award an eco-label to a product, its life cycle assessment should be done systematically and scientifically, and it should assure the customers that they can trust this eco-label. The criteria must be credible, relevant, attainable and measurable and also verifiable. Independence. The organization authorized for such eco-labeling, it should be autonomous and they should have no vested commercial or other interest when they are promoting a product. Open and accountable process is important, that the program can be checked, monitored and questioned at any point of time. And evaluation also of the product should be done, so it should be open and accountable process. Flexibility. In order that this should be reliable and efficient, the program should run in a professional and cost-effective way, steady with the market forces and necessities. So these are all consistent with the guiding principles of the ISO. Green claims. These claims are voluntary and as I said, they are self-declared by the manufacturer. They are referred to as environmental or green claims. And sometimes these claims help the consumer in their decision when buying or purchasing a certain product. Now such products, the product label and the packaging, the advertisement material, promotional events, all these are used to present the green claim. And they can also use certain words, slogans, the symbols, the graphics, they can all be used for popularizing the product. But again, the ISO and other autonomous bodies, they have developed the standards for the environmental claims. Some of the green claims, the examples, they include recycled content, energy efficient, zero carbon footprint, water efficient and renewable material, biodegradable, compostable, recyclable, reduced energy consumption, non-toxic and ozone friendly. Now green washing, so we should not be fooled by these green claims and green washing. So the customer should not be misled by false environmental information of any product. Because sometimes when they declare false information in the name of good environmental management, then this false green claim is referred to as green washing. So the green washing is an unethical practice and they misinform the consumers about the environmental preferences of any product. Therefore, the right claim should be scientifically proven and information about the same should be easily available to all those who also want to inquire about the product. Eco mark. This is the increasing concern about environmental issues which have given rise to the concept of green marketing throughout the world. To increase consumer awareness, the Government of India launched the eco-labeling scheme known as Eco Mark Certification scheme, and the earthen pot or the matka which you see in this figure, that was selected as the symbol for the same. So this was notified by the Ministry of Environment and Forest in 1991 regarding certification of environment friendly product. And this is issued to the products and service which are environmental friendly and that meet the requirements of the Indian standards. These are the several products that are covered under the Indian Ecomark scheme for batteries, for coffee, the cosmetics, food additives, food items, leather, aerosol propellants, packaging materials, textiles, soap and detergent, wood substitutes and many more. These are the criteria for the Ecomark scheme, that it should cause less environmental pollution, can be recycled, should be easily biodegradable, consume less non-renewable natural resources and they are totally made up of renewable natural resources. The mechanism of this Ecomark scheme. So according to this, 3 committees are actually involved in the criteria and the development of each product category and for the award of the Ecomark. First is a steering committee which is set up in the Ministry of Environment and Forest, and they decide the product category for awarding the Ecomark with other important parameters like the promotion and improvement and development of the scheme. Then the technical committee in the Central Pollution Control Board. Here we have the functions of this committee and they include classifying the environment friendly product, reviewing the existing criteria, product assessment and evaluation of the environmental impact of a product. The last one is the sectional committee of the BIS or the Directorate of Marketing. Here they include the eco certification and award of the eco mark to review the license, inspection and analysis of a sample or a product. So initially the label may be issued for 1 year, but later on can be continued or extended based on the performances. So the Bureau of Indian Standards, they have the power to withdraw the license at any time if the firm is found guilty or giving false information regarding this product. So my dear learners, in this session we have learnt about the eco labeling procedures, the International Standard Organization and the various eco labels that are used in several of the countries, the schemes and why it is very important for the green claims, and false green claims should not be given, and how the customer can also make the environment friendly choices, and they can come to a conclusion based upon these true labels that are given on the products. Thank you for your patient listening.